Hello my spooky friends, welcome back to Witchtionery. If you have yet to subscribe to this channel, then please do so because we're getting crafty and spooky all month long. And today I wanted to bring to you the Shake Your Bones stamp set from Hero Arts. This was one of the add-ons that's still very much available for the April My Monthly Hero Art Kit, which is also surprisingly still available. I said back then that I would be bringing the stamp set back for some Dia de los Muertos or some Day of the Dead cards, and here we are. Keeping my word, making sure you guys get those cards I promised. From my stash, I'm going to pull out the Everything Flower background stamp, and I'm just going to ink all of this bad boy up with some awesome Simon Says Stamp embossing ink, and I'm just going to make sure to firmly press down on my panel just so I can get a really good impression on this stamp because it's so intricate. I didn't really want to lose any of the detail. At the time of filming this video, I did not actually have the Tim Holtz stamping platform, so this was the way I had to kind of go to make sure that I got that intricate design, and it worked out for me, so I wasn't really mad at it. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to explain why I did not use that and went this route. From my stash, I'm going to pull out some Buttercup embossing powder. This is from Ranger, and it's a beautiful yellow embossing powder that looks really vibrant and bold against that ultra matte black cardstock. And even though sometimes I do make a point of saying that I don't really do vibrant very well, with situations like this where I'm making cards to celebrate something as beautiful as Day of the Dead, I want to make sure I go all out because I want to make sure I represent the culture properly. And yeah, so I pull out some Prismacolor pencils to make sure I color some of these flowers orange like I would a marigold. I was actually kind of surprised I didn't see any marigold stamp sets out there. From my stash, I'm going to also pull out my Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle dies as well as a Sizzix circle die. And once I'm done die cutting those, I'm going to take out a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to start inking up my Shake Your Bones images with some Memento Tuxedo black ink to get them ready for coloring them with my Tombow brush pens. So Day of the Dead is an extremely beautiful celebration that celebrates life and ultimately our destination after life. It celebrates our ancestors, those who have come before us, as well as the loved ones who have recently passed away. It's extremely touching and a huge celebration, and a very big part of that celebration is the marigold flowers, because the marigold flower is said to bring lost souls that we love back to us. And today I really wanted to share with you the actual legend behind that, because I feel sometimes that sharing those stories or those really intimate stories is kind of what drives some stamp companies to kind of make the designs that, you know, are so meaningful to people of color like me who come from a certain culture. So with that said, today I'm going to tell you the legend of the Cempasuchil, or the marigold. So this tale tells the story of two young Aztecs, Xochitl and Huitzilin. And the romance of Xochitl and Huitzilin began when they were children, and as kids they would play around their pueblo or their town, and it was only natural that with time their innocent play dates would develop into a love affair that would last for their lifetime. In their youth, they would say that every evening the couple would climb a mountain and bring flowers to the sun god Tonatu, and the sun god seemed to smile at them from the heavens at their offer of flowers and as well as their love. And there, underneath the stars and the last rays of the sun, they promised each other that they would love each other even in death. And then one day a war broke out and the lovers had to go their separate ways. And since Huitzilin was at an age where he could fight, he was taken away. A short time after he went off to war, news arrived about Huitzilin to Xochitl that he had been fatally injured during battle, and that completely destroyed the beautiful Xochitl. She was so heartbroken at the news that in her heartbreak she went up to the mountain one last time and pled with the sun god Tonatu to reunite her with her love. Moved by all of her gestures and her crying and her love, the sun took pity on her and gifted her with one of his sun rays. He touched Xochitl with his sun ray, and in doing so he transformed her into a beautiful flower, a flower so intense in color that it said that the rays of the sun were in its petals. The bright sun-filled petals, the Cempasuchil, could then illuminate the souls of those who were lost to them back to them using their love. Anyway, a short time after she became a flower, a hummingbird appeared to her. Once the hummingbird touched the center of this flower, the flower opened up with 20 petals and a scent that was both so strong and mysterious that it caused the hummingbird to continue to come back to this flower. It turns out Huitzilin, after dying, was transformed into a beautiful hummingbird, and he's been searching for Xochitl ever since. So since that day, it's been said that so long as there are hummingbirds and marigolds and hummingbirds visit flowers, these two lovers will forever be together. And so long as there are beautiful, intensely colored marigolds out to lay the path between life and death, that your loved ones will always find their way back to you. So very beautiful story, very beautiful significance, and I'm very surprised that, you know, more stamp companies don't have like layered stamps that can really bring this tale to life and give it some meaning and make some cards for October with it. For my backgrounds, I want to continue on with this story and kind of its themes of like the sun. So I decided that for one of my panels, I was going to make a distressed background using some mustard seed, some spiced marmalade, some picked raspberry, and some seedless preserved. I probably could have blended this background a little bit more. I'm not sure why I didn't. I think I was kind of in a hurry for whatever reason, but if I could go back and do it, I definitely would ink blend these out a little bit better. So that was for my first background. For my second background, I am going to use some, I believe this is peacock feathers, some seedless preserves, I'm going to use seedless preserves, some mustard seed, and some spiced marmalade, and some picked raspberry, because I wanted to give more of a rainbow appearance, which I don't normally do. You can't really see it when everything is said and done, but I really wanted to go for it. Rainbows aren't really a part of Day of the Dead, but I really wanted to include one anyway, because I don't include them and I was already being colorful, so why not, you know? So once I was done with this amazing little panel, I'm gonna start adhering down my actual characters after I die cut them. And I know before anyone asked me why there are skeletons and everything, that actually came very recently, and it was as a result of an artist that made a painting called La Catrina or La Catrina, and she was a skeleton, and from there like everything became like super skeletonized or whatever. But it's honestly also a celebration of art. It has nothing to really do with like the dead. So yeah. Anyway, if you guys got the My Monthly Hero Art Kit for April 2018, you guys saw that there was a papel picado die and papel picado. How do you say that in English? A cut paper die, and yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Again, this actual kit is still available, so if you want it, you're more than welcome to order it. I'm going to cut some of the pieces of that very intricate fancy die, and I'm going to make awesome borders with it. At the top, I'm going to take that awesome flourish and just spread it across the top using my tape adhesive, and then I'm going to cut corners from the fancy die, and I'm going to just adhere this down. The color of this paper, I believe, is Peacock from Paper Source. I will make sure to look it up and link it below for you guys in case you guys want to check it out. And I know it's very confusing between Paper Presentation and Paper Source, but apparently stores like to call themselves stuff with paper. I have no control over it, guys. I can only represent them as best as I can. Once I was done trimming everything down and raising up my little skeletons with some foam circles, I go ahead and I start working on my second card. I adhere that panel down to my beautiful Everything Flowers panel, and then I raise up my skeletons off camera. Well, I adhere down my guy skeleton, and then I raise up my girl skeleton with some foam circles. For my third card, I decided to use the die cut of the second card to make a little bit more of a simpler card with my little skeletons. I raise them up using some foam circles, and then I decide that I want to add a little bit more interest to these cards because I don't feel like they're colorful enough. So I pulled out my crushed grape Nouveau drops for this particular card because I thought it would coordinate very beautifully with the skeleton woman's dress. For my other card with the amazing peacock feather, or the peacock color paper from Paper Source, I'm going to take my Caribbean Ocean Nouveau drops, and I'm just going to add them in very random sort of places. I try to be cognizant of adding them to the center of flowers just so I can give them a little bit more interest, but I know that didn't really kind of happen. So yeah. And then for my last card, off camera, I take some persimmon paper from Paper Source, and persimmon, I'm sorry, some sunshine paper from Paper Source, and I do the exact same thing I kind of had done with the first card, where I took out all of the corners of that fancy die and I adhere it down to my panel. I then go ahead and I use my ripened pumpkin Nouveau drops to add little dots to the center of all of those flowers, and I adhere this down to a orange piece of cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and my other two cards are adhered down to some Nina Solar White cardstock. Anyway guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video and for continuously watching this playlist. It is almost over, guys. We're almost at the end stretch. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something today, and I hope to see you guys back to this channel. Take care.